An historic announcement from President Biden. He's out of the race and will support Vice President Kamala Harris. Tonight, our attention moves to the economy and the markets as investors ask whether this is a recipe to reprice. This is a live CNBC special report. Now, here's Kelly Evans.
Good evening. We're here tonight to try and add some clarity to a very unclear situation, both politically and for the stock market, after President Biden takes himself out of the run for the White House. In just a moment, Jim Cramer will tell us what investors need to watch for and how he is positioning. We will also hear this hour from David Zervos, Surat Sethi, Fred Kemp, and others for their thoughts on the full macro and global fallout. We start with U.S. futures. As investors begin to digest this news, we're seeing slight gains across the board. The S&P 500, the Dow, the NASDAQ as well. Of course, we'll drill down on the small caps, which had been so strong on the Trump momentum the last couple of weeks. In the meantime, there are several major storylines out of Washington, and we're focusing on two right now. CNBC's Emily Wilkins is reporting on how this impacts House and Senate races. But first, to Eamon Javers with what happens next in the Democrats' presidential nomination process. Eamon, what a day. What are you hearing?
This is a stunning moment in American history, Kelly. Normally, when we fire up a CNBC breaking news show on a Sunday night, our headline reads markets in turmoil. Tonight, you can say the headline should be politics in turmoil, and markets are going to be watching closely to see what it means for them. At 1:46 p.m. on the East Coast today, President Biden upended the political world, announcing, "I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term." He did not endorse Vice President Harris in that initial statement. Then, after a nearly 30-minute pause, the president's social media account posted this: "Today, I want to offer my full support and endorsement for Kamala to be the nominee of our party this year." So here's my sense of the state of play right now, Kelly. If Kamala Harris can consolidate the party behind closed doors in the next 24 hours, this nomination will be hers. And that resets the presidential campaign where President Trump had been running away and extending his lead. You can expect Kamala Harris's economic policy to be very close to Joe Biden's, projecting a sense of continuity and stability. But there are some early signs that Harris may not have an unrestricted path to the nomination. Former President Barack Obama's statement this evening notably did not mention Harris, did not endorse Harris. Instead, he said, "We will be navigating uncharted waters in the days ahead. But I have extraordinary confidence that the leaders of our party will be able to create a process from which an outstanding nominee emerges." And the New York Times editorial board, which is influential among Democrats, called for a contested primary, writing, "Picking a candidate without a real contest is how the party got into a position of anointing a standard bearer that large majorities of Democrats and independents had profound concerns about." For her part, Harris is signaling that she is ready to go, writing tonight, "My intention is to earn and win this nomination," Kelly.
Wow. Eamon, stick around before we kind of delve more into that. Let's turn to Emily Wilkins for a look at the impact on the House and Senate candidates. Emily, this is an area the Democrats have had enormous concerns about and may be a big part of the reason for the change at the top of the ticket.
Oh, absolutely, Kelly. I mean, there was a lot of internal pressure on Biden to drop out. And so now the question is, where are Democrats now in terms of whether they're going to choose Kamala Harris or someone else? And right now, we're seeing lawmakers on the Hill really quickly coalescing around Harris to be the nominee. The Congressional Black Caucus, which was a strong and early supporter of Biden staying in the race, came out with a statement very quickly today supporting Harris. You also had the chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, Nanette Berrigan, and the chair of the Progressive Caucus, Pramila Jayapal, both come out in support of Harris. Now, as of now, congressional leadership hasn't endorsed Harris, but I've also been told that some of them, they want to take this one day at a time. They want to focus on Biden today and honoring his legacy, and that they have time in the days ahead. Plus, they do want to, of course, chat with members of their conference. You do have some really senior Democrats, though, members in leadership. You have Jim Clyburn in the House, Patty Murray, the president pro tempore in the Senate. They are out backing Harris. Clyburn saying in a statement that he echoes the good judgment demonstrated in selecting Vice President Harris to lead this nation. And he's proud to follow Biden's lead in support of Harris's candidate to succeed Biden as the party's Democratic nominee in 2024 for president. Now, of course, other Democratic lawmakers, much fewer of them, but there are some out there who are pushing for an open process to pick that next nominee. And that includes Montana Senator Jon Tester. He's running for one of those must-win races for Democrats if they want to keep control of the Senate. He said before he wants an open process. He didn't change that in a statement today. Republicans are also responding to this news, and they've already begun attacking Democrats for switching their candidate after state primaries. Speaker Mike Johnson said in a statement that Democrats would invalidate the votes of more than 14 million Americans. And he also called on Biden to resign now, saying that, quote, if Biden is not fit to run for president, he is not fit to serve as president. He must resign the office immediately. Of course, so far, we haven't seen any Democrats pressuring Biden to leave early, which means at this point, it doesn't seem likely that he will. But of course, another thing to keep an eye on here, the conservative group Heritage Foundation is gearing up for a legal battle in states to ensure that Biden's name remains on the ballot in certain states. Remember, at this point, Biden's low in polls, so Republicans do want to have him continue on the ballot. Remember, all 50 states, they've got different rules about where and how candidates are added to the ballot. And so it'll be interesting to see what, if any, legal challenges actually take place and if any are successful. Of course, remember, Democrats have not officially picked a nominee yet. And Kelly, as you said at the top, we are just in a lot of uncharted territory right now.